Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Let's start with the opening prayers. That's our Guru Shishya Parampara. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ji. Aryan,
Yes.
let's do it together.
Okay.
Oh.
अज्ञानातिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानजनशलाकया चक्षुरुमिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः।
Namo
नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय
Krishnapreshthaya
कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय
Bhutale
भूतले
Shrimate
श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त
Bhaktivedanta Swaminithi
स्वामिनिधि नामिने
Namaste
नमस्ते
Saraswati
सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी
Gauravani
प्रचारिणे
Pracharini
निर्विशेषा
Nirvishesha
शून्यवादी
Shunyavadi
पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे
Jaya
जय
Shri
श्री
Krishna
कृष्ण चैतन्य
Chaitanya Prabhu
प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद
Hare
हरे कृष्णा
Krishna,
हरे
Hare
कृष्णा
Krishna,
कृष्णा कृष्णा
Krishna
हरे हरे
Hare
हरे
Hare
राम हरे
Hare
राम
Ram,
राम
Rama
राम हरे हरे.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to the very first session of Valmiki's Ramayan on the auspicious week of Navratri. We are going to have 3 sessions starting from today. So today is the very first session. Then tomorrow we are going to have the second session. Then day after tomorrow on Dashera, the 10th day of Navratri, we are going to have the final and concluding session. And as you could appreciate that Ramayan is such a massive, epic scripture, most of the time referred as a poem. Mahabharata is the longest poem in the world, and then we have Valmiki Ramayan. Mahabharata 100,000 verses. Ramayan we have 24,000 verses. How are we going to do it? The way we are doing it now on Zoom. So at the convenience of your home, you could join us here. And then how are we going to do it? We have slides and then a lot of discussion, which we could do over here. Now, there are some devotees who have in depth knowledge, and I hope in a bit some of other devotees will join who wanted to contribute a bit more to Ramayana. Then, why we should do it? The reason, as always, any scripture when we read, the reason is to get the wisdom out of it. The wisdom which we can utilize in our own life. And that's where the last concluding session is on the lessons learned from Ramayana. Lessons learned from the characters of Ramayana. And of course, character of Lord Ramachandra. Moving on. So there are many, many, many different verses, different sources of Ramayana. Now, Valmiki's Ramayana is the first and foremost. And then following on, one of the most popular one is Tulsidas ji's Ramcharitramanas. Right? Valmiki's Ramayana in Sanskrit, and then Tulsidas' Ramcharitramanas in Avdi. That's another dialect of Hindi. So for our conversation, for our discussion, our focus is on Valmiki's Ramayan. Now in Valmiki's Ramayan, we have six main kand, right? Kand could be described as the activity, or like coming from the culture of Srimad Bhagavatam, we could call them as the skand, as cantos, or a separate book. And these are the names. The very first one, Bal Kand, where the youth of Lord Rama has been explained, and that includes 77 chapters of itself. And we are going to see very briefly, we are going to run past through the main events of Lord Rama. At any point, if you like to share, feel free to go for it. I'm going to have my participants list open. Feel free to share, raise your virtual hand, and we will see as and when more devotees will join. If you want to do the chat, feel free to do it. We have quizzes, at least a couple of them, and we'll go through them as well, right? So Balkand, Book of Youth, the life of Lord Rama from birth till he starts his journey towards Mithlaish, where he's going to get Sita, right? And then we have Ayodhya Kand, and we will see what happens there. That is the time of Lord Rama where he has married to Mother Sita and he has come back and he's spending time with his family in Ayodhya. That's where his parents, his ancestors were. That's where his father was. That's where he was born. So he goes there, Balkand, everything before marriage, Ayodhya Kand, everything after marriage, in very crude sense. Moving on, Aryana. That's a word for the forest, and that's why this is called Book of Forest. 75 chapters there. That's when Lord Rama leaves Ayodhya to the forest. He's going to spend his time in the forest now. What happens in the forest? Most of us know. And again, we will just remind ourselves, and that's why we will go a bit faster than usual, because we are not doing the in-depth. We are just reminding ourselves the flow, how it starts and where it goes to. Then the time when Lord Rama's wife, Mother Sita, has been kidnapped by demon Ravana. And then Kishkinda Kand. That's where all the Vanar Sena will come into picture. Bali, Sugriv, Hanumanji. But that's when they come into picture. But until Sundar Khan, they haven't started looking for Mother Sita. Once they have started looking for Mother Sita, we will see what happens in Sundar Khan. And then once Hanumanji found Mother Sita and Lord Ram confirmed that we are going to march towards Lanka, the sixth Kand is called Lanka Kand or Yuddha Kand. As I said, different coming from different perspectives. A lot of time you will see different names for the same Khan. So Yuddha Khan is also called as Lanka Khan, where the whole army of monkeys in association with Lord Rama are going to get into Lanka, right? And then again, this is sometimes it has been said that Valmiki's Ramayan didn't have anything after Lanka Kand. However, some of the devotees, they believe that Valmiki's Ramayan does have Uttarakhand. This is the time when the demons, they have been demolished. The Lanka has been gone, done and dusted from the empire of Ravana. And now Vibhishan is the king. And then Lord Rama goes back. The life after, that's called Uttarakhand. And we will see if you would like to discuss that. So for today, we will try to cover at least first two, because Ayodhya Kand, as you will say, 119 chapters. And the first two chapters are so important. And most of the times we will see then Yuddha Kand, Lanka Kand, 128 chapters. So these are one of those. Sundar Kand, of course, very famous for Hanumanji. And let's get started. It's so exciting. The very first one, Balakand, Book of Youth. Now, these are the chapters. I wanted to add more, and there are more slides in it. But again, we don't have enough time to get into detail for each chapter. But it's very important to know why Lord Rama descended. Why? The very first time, Valmiki was not a saint initially. He was not a saint at all. He was actually a dacoit. Somebody who used to take pleasure in killing. But the association he got from Naradji, Narad Muni. And Narada came along and gave him the inspiration, the motivation, the spiritual knowledge, the transcendental knowledge he was needed. And Valmiki turned into a devotee. And that's what the association does it. Now again, Valmiki and Narada, the whole dialogue happened between those two. It's beautiful. It's very, very transcendental. How a dacoit could convert into a devotee. And this gives us so much inspiration. A lot of time we think, oh, we could never come out of this Maya. But when we think of these associations, then we understand if we remain in the association of devotees, how much better we could get it. Now, Lord Rama, the descent of Lord Rama was requested by Mother Earth. Mother Earth was there when a lot of demigods, they went to Brahmaji and then Shiva and then to Vishnu. And then Vishnu said, okay, I'm going to take the form of a Kshatriya king, the one who is going to rule. And then Lord Vishnu came in the form of, the incarnation happened in the form of Lord Rama. Then Valmiki, when he got kind of spiritually initiated by his guru, spiritual master Narad Muni, then Brahmaji came along and Brahmaji gave him so much. Narada only gave him 100 verses. Narada didn't give him a lot. But Brahmaji, when came, Brahmaji gave the blessings to Valmiki that you are going to be the composer of Ramayana. And I give you that transcendental knowledge. So this is why it says, a lot of time in the history, in the scriptures, we have seen that if a spiritual master is happy with us, he could do a lot, even what we don't have the capacity. And that's exactly what happened there. Moving forward, Valmiki composed Ramayana. Then, now this is like 360-degree, going back where Mother Sita left Rama and she was living with Valmiki ji. Well, she was there with the saint, and Kush, Love and Kush were the sons of Mother Sita. And then they learned Ramayana and they sang. And that was the very first time the Ramayana was sung by the children of Lord Rama at the front of Lord Rama. So Love and Kush, they went to Ayodhya, right sitting at the front of Lord Rama. They sang Ramayana, what they had heard from their spiritual master. If anybody has any questions so far, please let me know. Otherwise, let me ask a quick question. What were the names of Lord Rama's children? That should be easy. Anyone would like to answer that? Krishna is there, Aryan is there, Avni is there. Haribo, Avni, very nice. This is just to make sure you are there, you are listening. Great. Love and Kush, that's right. Love and Kush were there. They were the ones who were the children of Lord Rama. Then everything starts from Ayodhya. Ayodhya, the king of Ayodhya was Dashrath. The description of Ayodhya is given. Then how great King Dashrath was, how great Dashrath's ministers were. So it's not that king was great. King's ministers, they were great. And a great king got to have very wise ministers. But there was one thing missing. Dashrath didn't have any child. He didn't have any child at all. And then from Shingi Rishi. He pleaded, he said, please, could you help me to get a son? Because he wanted, he wanted somebody to rule after him. And then they did what they always call horse yagya, which was very famous in Treta Yuga. And that was, what was the name of it? The name of that was, what we say, Ashv. Ashv is for horse. And that, where they let the horse loose, and where the horse will go, everyone will have to.
Uh, uh,
Krishna, please.
Shwa.
All right, okay. I think by mistake you put yourself unmuted. Okay, I'm going to unmute yourself. Thank you. If you have something to say, please feel free to mute yourself and say. And then that horse sacrifice happened. When that was concluded, then the god, the demigods, all of them, they came along from the mercy of Lord Vishnu, and then they gave. So Agni Dev himself came out of the yagya fire and gave payasam, or let's say kheer, rice pudding, whatever the name you would like to say, something to drink. And when Dashrath drank that. No, sorry, Dashrath didn't drink. Dashrath took that as offering. Dashrath gave that to. Dashrath actually split that payasam into two. 50% was given to the very first, and we will see the name of the wives. He had three wives. He gave the 50% to the first wife, and then 50% to the rest of the wives. Split that further, and that's how they got their sons. So the four brothers were born. And all those demigods, they knew Lord Vishnu is coming. They wanted to be part of that Leela. And that's why they took the form of all the monkeys, Vanaras. And the monkey army, Lord Rama got help from. They all were the demigods. They all were demigods. Hanumanji was himself the partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. And that's what we will see a bit later. So appearance of Lord Rama. So Lord Rama, Bharat, Lakshman, Shatrughan. So this is in the order of their age. Lord Rama was there. Then Bharat was the second. Lakshman was the third. Shatrughan was the fourth. These were the four. And they all were partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu, or the source himself is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Right? They all were the partial incarnation. So they all were the parts of Lord Vishnu. And then everything was going good. Lord Rama, they all children were growing up. They were enjoying their youth. When Vishwamitra came along, Vishwamitra is one of those saints. A lot of guys like Durvasa Muni, he's very angry. And he came along and Dasharath said, Muni, we are so happy to have you. Please ask for something. And he said, of course, I'm here to ask for something. I'm going to ask for your son. I want Lord Rama. And Dasharath almost had heart attack. He said, what? You take anything? He said, no, I'm doing a sacrifice nearby. And there are some demons. They come along and they disturb me. And I want to take Lord Rama. And Dasharath, as a very protected father, he said, no, he is just a young boy. He's so dear to me. He cannot go and fight demons. I will come with my army. He said, no, I don't need the army. I just need one. He said, what? If you just need one, I will come. But Vishwamitra said, well, you have promised me you will give me what I want. If you are not happy to give me that, then I'm going to curse you. And then Vashishta was also there. Vashishta was the royal priest. And so Vashishta was the saint, was the priest, was the Brahmin, was the devotee who helped Lord Rama and all his brothers to grow up. All the culture, all of those were added by Vashishta. So Vashishta advised to Dashrath that Vishwamitra is taking Lord Rama, let Lakshmana go along, and these two brothers are going to get the association of such a highly elevated devotee, Vishwamitra. There's nothing to lose. Your sons will get so much. And then Dashrath put heavy heart, but he let their kids, let their Ram and Lakshman go along with Vishwamitra. And then they went to this jungle, the forest, where the very first one was Taraka. There was a Taraka, very famous Taraka Vad, where, if you think about it, again, a very, very young prince or couple of princes, Lord Rama and Lakshman, they were there. And so Vishwamitra himself had so much potency that he could have killed Taraka, but he did not, because then he was a Brahmin and he wanted to perform the sacrifice. So he let Rama and Lakshman kill Taraka. And Taraka was a huge, heavy, humongous demon. And then when Taraka fell down, Vishwamitra would complete his yajna, his sacrifice. He gave the gift to Vishwamitra. He gave the big bow and arrow to Lord Rama. And that's the one Lord Rama always kept. And that was presented by Vishwamitra. Of course, there were many blessings given to Vishwamitra as well, that when Lord Rama is going to go there in the forest, he's not going to feel any hunger. Hunger is not going to give him any trouble at all. But there were many other things given by Vishwamitra, but the bow and arrow and the blessings in disguise, those were the things which were the prominent. Then there's a mention of Vaman and Bali there, which we could see later. But the Vaman and Bali were a couple of monkey brothers, and there was a fight in between. But we will see when monkey army comes later, what happens there, when we will see Kishkinda Kand. Vishwamitra, he did a lot of sacrifices. His sacrifices were completed. And then he was so happy with the Lord Rama. He said, okay, remember, they were there in Ayodhya. From Ayodhya, they went to the forest just to do the yajna. And then Taraka, what happened? Taraka was a demon who fell down. And then they said, okay, we are going to go to another kingdom, because that's what Muni does, right? And before we go any further, how about we have a quick poll, right? We have a bit of quizzes here. So could I request, Mataji, would you like to do it? Or, okay, if you like to do it, please. Okay, Mataji is going to launch the poll until she's looking for the buttons. Let me continue. Let us know if once you're ready to launch the poll, then let's go for it. Otherwise, let's continue. So Vishwamitra said to Lord Rama and Lakshman, let's go to Mithilesh, because that's what Muni Brahmins they do. They move from one place to another. Mithilesh. Mithilesh is the place where Mother Sita was. And there's a mention of a few other places. The whole Vishwamitra's ancestry was mentioned there. Again, this is one of those things we can, if we want, we can get into. But this is where Ganga, the Ganges, came into place. So while they were going to Mithila Desh, so Mithila or Mithila Desh, Desh is the country, that's the place they were going. That's the place where Janak, King Janak, and Janak's daughter, Mother Sita, Mother Sita was there. And but in between, Vishwamitra is giving, or Valmiki ji is giving the mention of Vishwamitra's ancestry, and Vishwamitra come from the ancestry. Vishwamitra gives their background of Lord Rama. Okay, so Lord Rama's ancestry. But before we'll go any further, let's take the long poll. So yes, Mataji, if you're ready, please. Hare Krishna, everyone. Maybe next moment you will see some questions coming on your screen. Because I'm the host, I don't see it yet. Could you please confirm, Mataji?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah, we can see the form.
All right, okay. All right, so I'm the host. I can't see it myself. But if you can see it, I will let Mataji continue. Hari Bol. Glad to hear you, Avni. Okay, I hope. Mataji, could you confirm if the polls are done by now? Okay, so these are some of those questions which you might have. There's a lot to learn there, but again, we are kind of taking the bird view. We are taking from the top. Maybe when we get the chance, we'll get into detail. All right, okay. So if I could request, please, to end the poll, I hope. Oh, Mataji, if you want to summarize the poll, because I can't really see it. I'm not sure who replied, but what. But I hope everyone got the right answer. If not, you can share the results with everyone. And if you share the results, then everybody could see.
Can you hear me, Prabhu?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, sorry, I was trying to get my audio set.
All right. Okay. Yeah, it does happen.
So, who is Lord Ramchandra? It's the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. 100% of the people said it correctly.
Haribo.
How many gods are there in Hinduism?
Oh, right. Okay.
So the correct answer is 1, and we've got another person answering 33 crores. So it's
All right.
actually
Okay.
1.
Yes. So just to clarify on that, 33 crores where the mention is, it says Devi Devta, which means they are the demigods. They are not the gods. They are the ministry, cabinet. But Krishna is the supreme God. And there is only one God. The mention of one God is there in all the scriptures. So 33 crores, millions, they all are the demigods. Otherwise, God is only one, Krishna. Hari Bol. Yes,
So
please.
the last question was, which are the 2 correct statements? Ramayan is by Maharishi Valmiki, and Ramcharitmanas is a poem composed by Goswami Tulsidas. These are the
Hari.
2 answers.
Yes. So remember, Ramayan by Valmiki ji and Charitramanas, that's from Tulsidas ji. So our focus is on Ramayan. So now coming back, there is another beautiful story. Again, we don't have enough time, but I will just quickly mention Sagar. Then there was a time when a lot of ancestors were going down, falling down, and they all wanted. So when Kapil Muni came, they right, okay. So Bhagirathi was there. He wanted to wash the sins of all his ancestors, and he went to one of the saints, and saint said, "Get Ganga, get Ganges." But Ganges were not there, so he did the tapasya. He did the ancestry. He said, "Okay, please come along for my ancestry. Please help me." Then Lord said, "Okay, I will let you have Ganges." But the way Ganges came down, there is a beautiful story how Lord Shiva got into picture as well, how Ganesha got into picture as well. But again, we won't go into that. But that they were the ancestors of Lord Rama, like what we say, Raghunath. So Raghunandan. So they all were the ancestors of Lord Rama, and that's why Vishwamitra discussing all that with Lord Rama on the journey to Mithila Desh, where if you will see that all those ancestors were there. So this is how Vishwamitra is giving the wisdom to Lord Rama, and this is what Vashishta suggested, that good association will always benefit. Now Bhagirath penance is there, how Bhagirath did it, how Ganga ji came down, journeying of ocean, Maruts, again, journeying of ocean we cover somewhere else, so we won't really do in a bit. Let us finish Balakand, and then we will have another quiz on Balakand. So then Ahilya, and that's another one. That there's another pastime of Gautam Muni and Indra. And because of that, again, we won't go into detail, but because of that, Ahilya was cursed. Ahilya was the wife of Gautam Muni. Now, Gautam Muni's ashram was in the middle, on the way, and Vashishta and Lord Rama, they reached, sorry, Vishwamitra and Lord Rama, they reached there, and Ahilya was waiting for Lord Rama in the form of a stone. And as soon as Lord Rama touched that stone, that stone transformed into a woman, Ahilya. Ahilya been waiting for many, many, many years. And that happened in the ashram of Gautam Muni. And that's another thing. The lotus feet of Lord could transform even a stone into a human, into a devotee. So that's another beautiful pastime. Now, chapter 50, what happens in Mithila? Remember, this is all happening on the way, right? This is the journey. But what happens in Mithilesh? Where they reach there, and Vishwamitra is there, Vashishta is there. Now Vashishta welcomes Vishwamitra. That's another pastime between Vishwamitra and Vashishta. So Vishwamitra was there. This is again going back when Vishwamitra was a king. He was not a saint. Again, he's telling the story. Vishwamitra was welcomed by Vashishta, who is a saint. Vishwamitra is a king at this moment, and there was a cow, Sabla. Cow feeds so much to Vishwamitra's soldiers, and Vishwamitra, being a king, said, "Oh, this is a nice Kamdhenu, Sabla cow you have. Vishwamitra, Vashishta, you are just a saint. Why do you need it? I need this Sabla." And Vashishta said, "She's my mother. I cannot let you have my mother." Vishwamitra said, "I'm the king. I owe everything here." He said, "I'm going to take it." But then Vashishta requested Sabla, that cow, that to save yourself. And then from the stomach, a lot of soldiers come out and killed all the soldiers of Vishwamitra, and Vishwamitra was defeated. But then he thought, okay, what, I was a big Kshatriya and Vashishta was a Brahmin. The comparison between Brahmin and Kshatriya happens. And then another story later on happens where Trishanku was a kind of demigod, and he was very naughty. He wanted to go to spiritual world with his own material body, which is not possible. He goes to Vashishta. Vashishta said it's not possible. He went to Vishwamitra and he said, Vashishta said it's not possible. And Vishwamitra already had a grudge against Vashishta. He said, he's saying not possible, I will make it possible. Then Vishwamitra helped. Vishwamitra was a Jnani. He helped Trishanku going up, and Trishanku was going up, 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 up. But then he fell down. Vishwamitra made him go up again, and he fell down. So this happened number of times, and there was a time when Vishwamitra gave up, and he just gave a planet to Trishanku. So Trishanku, it says, is still hanging in between. He could never reach to spiritual world, like Vashishta said, but he's still hanging. So if you want to, again, we could discuss that pastime sometime in our regular classes. But Trishanku episode shows how Brahmin is bigger and more powerful than a Kshatriya. But again, if you are a Vaishnav, if you are a devotee, you go past all those. But then there was another example of a Chandal happen. There were many other pastimes which happen in between. But right at the end, Vishwamitra does get to the level of Brahm Rishi, what he wanted. He became a very pious, and then he got friends. He became the friend of Vashishta. So Vashishta and Vishwamitra, they became the friends. And this is again all that what was happening. Now, remember, we are still on the way of Mithilesh. We are just reached Mithilesh, and that's where the king of Mithilesh is Janak, and the king of Ayodhya is Dashrath. Dashrath is invited to come to Mithilesh, and Janak and Dashrath, they meet each other, the king of two big cities, they meet each other. And then, because Dashrath, Lord Rama, they come from what we call Surya Vanshi. Surya, the sun, Vanshi, like the ancestry. So the sun was their ancestor, right? All of them. But Mithilesh, Mother Sita was in the line of Janak. So all the kings in that kingdom used to be called Janak. And then the royal wedding happened. Now, how the royal wedding happened, and this is the last slide on Balkanda, and it's one of the beautiful one. How Lord Janak did the Swambar, like he invited all the princes, and that was the reason Vishwamitra took Lord Rama to that Swambar. And in the ceremony, where there was a big bow of Lord Shiva, which was placed. And Janak said, whoever will pick this and break it, oh, he will be the one who is going to get married, right? So think about that. Nobody else could do it, only Rama. Lord Rama did it, but as soon as Lord Rama did it, obviously Lord Rama became the eligible candidate to get married to Sita. Janak was very happy. Everyone was very happy. Demons were very happy. Sorry, demigods were very happy. But then Pashuram came, because Pashuram was the one who gave that bow and arrow to Janaka. Then a dialogue happened between Ramachandra and Pashurama. Pashuram was initially he took that as an offense that Lord Rama broke Lord Shiva's. But then Lord Rama he explained the way he came through. Pashuram understood that, oh, right, Lord Rama is the real Lord, right? And he was full of pride, and he said, thank you so much, you came along and you curbed my pride. And this is another great lesson, that doesn't matter how good we are, how great we are, being the devotee, we should not have any pride at all. That was the time Lord Rama got married to Mother Sita and went back to Ayodhya. That's where Bal Kanda completes. And this might be the time to have another quick quiz, please. Mataji, could you please launch another
Yes,
quiz?
Prabhu, I've launched it now. Can you confirm everybody can see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hari Bol. So these could be specific questions on Balkand, what we have discussed. The quizzes are always good to have, because the quizzes, they give us the chance to reflect what we have just heard, what we have just read, what we have just studied, what we have just analyzed. So that's the purpose of quizzes. It's not there to judge your knowledge as such, but it's always a counter check to remember what we have just covered. So Mataji, if we have all the responses, then we could.
I'm still waiting, Prabhu. There are a few people who haven't.
All right, okay. Let's give enough time. And then we're going to move to Ayodhya Kand. Even if we won't able to finish Ayodhya Kand, that's okay. However, as we said, we won't able to get, maybe we will go quick on this. There's so much, 24,000 verses. There's a lot there. And Aryan just reminded me that there are 119 chapters in Ayodhya Kand. Now the last Yuddha Kand is the longest, biggest, and then we have Ayodhya Kand.
Okay, Prabhu, I'm going to close it now, and you should be able to see the results and you can summarize it.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I hope everybody could see, which is great. We can't see at the moment. Mataji, have you clicked on share the results? Okay, yes, we can see now. So the very first question, how many sons did Maharaj Dashrath had? Okay, everybody answer correct. Who was the teacher, guru of the four Kumaras? Yes, well, initially it was Vashisht, and then later on for a time period, we had Vishwamitra. So both the answers could be correct, but Vashishta was the royal teacher. Now, the third question is, who conducted the Ashwamedha Yagya, horse sacrifice for King Dashrath?
That's Maharishi Shringi, Prabhu.
Yes, yeah, it was Maharishi Shringi. Nobody put that. Maybe because the spelling is a bit different, the one we use in the presentation and the one we used in the chat. But again, remember, Maharishi Shringi was the one who did that, right? So the second option was the correct answer to question 3. Question 4, that which place did Vishwamitra go with Rama and Lakshman? Ayodhya, Chitrakoot, Mithilesh. Mithilesh was the correct answer. Chitrakoot, we haven't reached yet. Mithila is the correct answer. Yeah, Chitrakoot, we will go in a bit. Well, maybe not today. How was Ahalya? Who was Ahalya's husband? Rishi Gautam. Gautam Rishi was. That's the correct answer. Who was the father of Sita? King Janak. Haribol. Everybody got that right. Thank you so much. Mataji, feel free to end that and we will continue. So now, again, as always, respecting the time, we have few minutes left. Ayodhya Kand is big, massive. We could discuss a lot, but this is the time when Lord Rama got married to Mother Sita, came back, and as everybody was very happy, everybody is enjoying so much. Really, everybody enjoyed. There was only one person who did not, and she is Mantra. Now, Mantra was the maid servant of Mother Kekai. Kekai is the mother of Lord Rama. Well, they are, Lord Rama considered all the wives of his father as his mothers. So Dashrath had 3 wives, and Kekai was one of them. Mantra was the maid servant of Kekai. So Mantra wasn't happy. Mantra went to Kekai and Mantra said to Kekai that, remember you had those 2 boons from Dashrath. This is the time to ask. Kekai didn't want. Kekai was very happy with the Lord Rama's becoming the prince or the crown prince and then going to become the king. But again, this is where we understand why we should not get into the bad association. Mantra was the bad association. Mantra gave a bad association to Kekai, and Kekai, initially she did not want to, but Mantra kept saying once, twice, thrice, kept saying. And then Kekai fell into that bad association. And because of that bad association, Kekai said, excuse me, Kekai said to Dashrath that I want 2 boons. She was so unhappy. And Kekai said, first boom is that I want my son. Kekai said, I want my son, who was Bharat, the second son of the Dashrath. I want my son to become the king. And Dashrath didn't like it, but because it was given as a boon, he said, okay, no problem, go for it. But then she said, I want the second boon as well, and which is send Rama to forest for 14 years. And that's what Dashrath could not. He said, well, if you want anything else, your son is going to be the king now. Thank you. But why? Why do you want Rama to? But she again, Mantra said to Kekai that if Rama will be here, nobody will let Bharat to become the king. And Bharat was not there then. Dashrath just fell sick, did not say a thing, but Lord Rama understood, came around. Kekai said everything to Lord Rama, and Rama said, I'm going to go. Mother, you want this from me? I will go. And then Sita said, you are my husband wherever you will live. Remember, she was a princess. She just came, she just got married, and she was looking for all the dreams, but she was Mother Sita. She said, I'm going to come with you, Rama. You are my husband. Wherever you will go, I will come along with you. And she went. And that's the husband and wife relationship lesson we get from Ramayana. Now, thinking about Lakshman, did not need, well, there was no need for him to go, but Lakshman said, I'm your servant. Lord Rama, wherever you will go, I will go. Lakshman was married as well. Lakshman had his wife Urmila there, who wanted to come along, but he said, please, you stay here, you serve my parents, right? I will go and I will serve Lord Rama and Mother Sita. You stay and serve my parents. They both stayed separate for so many years. Lakshman was another example of a pure devotee who will leave everything for the sake of service, devotional service. And Rama went. As soon as Rama went, Dashrath did not stay for long. Then there was a minister, Sumantra, who who left there. But as soon as he came back and he said Rama is not going to come back, his father left the body. And then Sumantra was there. Sumantra and everybody chastised Kekai, said so many bad things that you should not have done it. But it was too late. It was too late. Dashrath also said the same, but Dashrath left. Rama left the Ayodhya to the forest, and Dashrath left his body. Nobody could do anything. Everybody was so sick. Everybody was sad in Ayodhya. Everyone. But there are many examples there, many analogies there. What happened? Who thought what? But again, this is the time when Rama went in the forest and he went to the ashram of Bharadwaj Muni. Now he is another saint, very great saint, Bharadwaj. And I'm so proud to say that I belong to Bharadwaj Muni's lineage. So my name could be Bharadwaj rather than my own surname. I'm also very blessed to have spiritually initiated by Guru Maharaj in the disciple succession, which is very important to succeed in spiritually if you want to. Bharadwaj Muni blessed Lord Rama, and then there was a place where the ashram was Chitrakoot, and that became the house of Lord Rama and Mother Sita, along with Lakshman, who was there as a servant. They stayed there for so long and everything was going there. They were quite happy about it. If you think about it, they left everything. Rama, Sita, Lakshman, none of them were complaining about anything. Why? Because they were in great association. Rama was happy because his mother was happy. Sita was happy because she was with Lord Rama. Lakshman was happy because he got the chance to do devotional service. Because while they're in the palace, anybody and everybody was there to do the service for Rama and Sita. But while they're in the forest, there was no one else, and all the service was available to Lakshman. So that's why Lakshman was so happy. So thinking about, these are princes. Lord Rama was about to become a king, and they are now in the jungle. How destiny changes. But just because of their mental balance, because of their understanding of how spirituality works, how the association is there, they are so happy. And that's what we as devotees, we need to understand what we can do. Now, remember, Ayodhya, there's no king there. And that's why chapter 67 says, kingless Ayodhya. Dashrath has passed away. He left his body. Rama, who was supposed to be here, he's here. So Bharat, who was supposed to be the king now, he said no. When he heard it, oh, he went to Ayodhya. He heard, he understood what his mother did. Oh, he chastised his own mother. He actually cursed his mother. And then Kekai understood that what she did very, very wrong. Bharat went to meet Lord Rama, and initially he met Bharadwaj Muni. He explained everything. He met Lord Rama, and he said, "Come, please come." And he said, Lord Rama said, I cannot come. I promised mother that I will be away for 14 years. I cannot come back. I'm Ram Chandra. We belong to Raghu. Once we have promised, we can leave our life. We cannot leave our promises. And then Bharat said, I'm going to leave my body. Excuse me. Bharat said, Lord Rama, without you, I'm going to leave the body. I can't be the king. I will leave my body. Lord Ram said, excuse me. Lord Ram said, okay, I give the alternative. I will be the king, but I cannot come. So Bharat said, how that gonna possible? Bharat said, okay, give me your slippers. Charan Paduka. Give me your slippers. Bharat took those slippers on his head all the way back to Ayodhya. He put those slippers on top of the big crown. And he said, these are slippers of Lord Rama going to be our king. And I'm just going to be the servant until Lord Rama, until King Rama will come back. So that's how Bharat took care of the kingdom in the absence of Lord Rama. And then this is what happened all in Chitrakoot. Chitrakuta. Now, Lakshmana was, of course, there were many other episodes why Lakshmana was happy, unhappy. Whenever whenever anybody came along and disturbed Lord Rama, and then there were some examples, like it says, we will see later how Surupnakha, the sister of, whenever the demons came along, Surupnakha was one of them. Lakshman took that as a duty to kill them. Again, he was looking for the opportunity to do the devotional service, and that's another thing as devotees we learn. Any opportunity we get to serve Krishna, we should not shy away from that. We should not. Then Rama was there, and he stayed there for a long time. Now remember, Lord Rama, Mother Sita, and Lakshman were there in the forest, and Bharat and Shatrughan, these two brothers were there in Ayodhya. But still, Ayodhya was not very happy because they didn't have a king. The king was Lord Rama, who was in there. So that's why Rama's sandals, Rama's Charan Paduka were there, and they kept that. They kept that as things. So they had something to be happy about. But then this is the time when we think from Ayodhya, Lord Rama, Mother Sita, and Lakshman, they reach to the forest. And now what happens in the forest, we will see again. This is what Arne Kand is, where the forest, what happens in reality. If you see this feel like from the previous one, from Ayodhya to on the way to the forest, but there people are still there. They're coming and they're going. Bharadwaj Muni was there, but then the brother Bharat, he came along, but now nobody will be there. From here, the real forest life starts, and that will be the next one, which we will do tomorrow. And I'm planning to have some more slides, pictures there, but we still have 5 minutes. So may I request Mataji to have the Ayodhya Kand poll. So we have another poll on Ayodhya Kand, which we have discussed so far. Now again, remember 119 verses. There's a lot which we could discuss, but remember we are going through the timeline. We are discussing the top main events, and feel free, anyone. Now there are a couple of devotees who are really good and thorough in Ramayana and Ramcharitamanas. So if you want, you could go along. Feel free to add anything you like. But Mataji, could I please request to have the poll? Thank you. Okay.
I think we've got the answers. Are there any more people wanting to still do it?
Okay. The third poll of today, Ayodhya Kand poll. The poll on Ayodhya. If everybody answered it, yeah. Okay. Krishna just nodded.
I'm going to close the poll now.
Okay, sure. Haribo. Now, I'm not really sure if your name is Krishna or you put the name as Krishna, but of course, there's so many benedictions we can get just taking that name again and again, Krishna. And another great devotee, Krishna Chaitanya, who could not be here with us at the moment because he needs to travel. But we could see the results of the poll. And the very first one, who was Mantra, maid servant of Kekai, Haribo. Who asked for the fatal boons, Kekai, yes. Who accomplished Rama to the forest, Sita and Lakshmana, yes. And the fourth one, where did Rama and Bharat meet? Chitrakoot or forest? Okay, right. All right. If I wasn't clear, then Chitrakoot was that area in the forest. So whoever said forest was also correct. But in particular, where Bharadwaj Muni, his ashram was there, that was in the forest. And that was Chitrakoot. Okay, great. Hari bol. Now, I'm thinking there's still 2 minutes left. Anything anyone would like to add? Otherwise, what we will see tomorrow. And tomorrow, same time, 5:30 to 6:30, we will go through. And this is where we are. This is where we will start tomorrow. What's going to happen in the forest. And very quickly, okay.
Prabhuji, a question, if you
Hari
don't
bol.
mind.
Yes, please, Mataji. Sorry.
Yes. Around the last time when we discussed about Shruti and Smriti,
Yes.
the scriptures. So in Itihasa we have Ramayan. So what do we have? Do we have Valmiki Ramayan there, or is it Tulsidasa's Ramacharitra-manas?
Valmiki Ramayan, Mataji.
Okay.
Yes. Valmiki Ramayan.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Ved Vyas was the one who compiled what Valmiki ji gave. If you think about Ved Vyas, spiritual master was Narad Muni, and Valmiki's spiritual master was also Narad Muni.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So it was a very, very valid question. Very valid question. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Haribo. Thank you. All right. Okay. If there's no more question here, let's conclude today's class. And I will, if I can, let's quickly go back. That this is where we are. Valmiki's Ramayan we are discussing, and as you can see, there are many chapters. Both there are main 6. However, some places we see 7. If we have time, we will see Uttarakhand, last one. Otherwise, Balkand, Book of Youth, before Lord Rama got married. And then the second one, Ayodhya Kand, where Lord Rama got married but has left Ayodhya and going to the forest, and on the way what happens and everything. And now we are going to see tomorrow what happens in the forest, then all the monkeys army, how they come together, then how they approach towards Lanka, and then how the Yudh happened, Lanka Kand, which is the 6th one. And then on the way back from Lanka to Ayodhya, that's Uttarakhand. So this is the flow where we are. And again, bird view. So tomorrow we will try to cover as much we can. Otherwise, third chapter we will complete it, and we will get on to the lessons learned. At least 10 lessons what we can. Remember, Lord, the way we have dated is now day after tomorrow is going to be Dashmi, the 10th, the day when we ceremonially we kill the demon Ravan, right? And Ravan has 10 heads. So at least 10 lessons we need to learn. And we will see what those 10 heads of Ravan resembles and how we can control them. Okay. All right. With that, I will take your leave with a hope to see you tomorrow at 5:30, and we will continue our journey in Valmiki's Ramayana. Thank you so much for your presence and your association. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Look forward
Hare
to seeing
Krishna,
you tomorrow.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Then Hare Krishna.